Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Live with Cheryl. I am your host, Cheryl Mebin. I'm happy you're here. If you've been here before, thanks for joining me again. You know the drill, but for those who have not checked this out before, hello and welcome. This is a show that can sometimes be more like a big old show, and a lot of times it's like a hangout. I am someone who's sharing all kinds of different tips and tricks and things that I'm learning in my creative business and also in things that I do around research and consulting, PhD related and otherwise. And I usually like to keep a little health tip in there because if you're active, you usually need to be looking out for your health so you don't burn out at some point. Anywho, welcome. I hope you all are doing well, and I hope you have lots of things that you are getting into like I am. It feels like at one point I was thinking this year is flying by, and it still feels that way. And so I'm getting a little tired, but I'm very excited, if that makes sense. Like, I'm glad there's a lot going on. I'm glad it's racing by, but I'm also like, but I don't want it to stop. I do not. Okay, y'all. Let's get into stuff. For y'all who are familiar, I will be getting into my updates as I create. So mostly I'm a creative person who's pivoted from focusing more in my career on STEM related, have a background in chemistry kinds of doings, and more so into my creative skill set. So I have lots of updates, which is why I'm a little tired. I got a lot going on. Okay, I'm very blessed, booked and busy. First off, there's a lot going on for me as an actor. I'm still involved with a project that I'm loving, and I'm meeting lots of great people. If y'all are watching and aware, hello, y'all great people. So I've been working as a director, but also as talent doing voice acting with a project. And I can't get into a lot of details because we're not supposed to say who the final end user for it is, but it's been a lot of fun. And it's one of the AI projects that I've been doing. And I'm liking the pay, I'm liking the people, and I get to direct. It's lots of fun. And it's challenging and it keeps changing, but the people are starting to say the same. So I'm sort of building connections and building like familiarity. So when things are changing, it feels like, okay, we still have like a home turf because some of my colleagues are matched up with me again for the project. So I'm loving that. Hey, y'all, looking forward to working with y'all more tomorrow. But there's sometimes some sessions that get a little bit long, and I'm finding that I really got to be careful with myself to pace myself. Because when you're booked and busy, you already know this, but I'm not used to being as booked and busy and taking it in stride sometimes with the creative stuff. So I'm figuring out how to do those routines people suggested when I was doing stuff with standardized patient work over at Duke University, which I'll be doing also coming up next week, virtual case. But people were suggesting, especially with things that get really heavy, to make sure you do a routine at the end of your performance or your end of your embodying the character, however you want to think about it. And you remind yourself of how you are different from that character. Because usually to connect to the character, you're emphasizing as an actor how you're the same or how you relate to or how you connect to the character. So to let it go, you want to think about, okay, this is how I'm very different from that character. So I've been making sure to do that even after some of the lighter things because you can still get caught up even if you're sort of emphasizing positive things. So that's been helpful. But also because a lot of what I'm doing is, even though it's acting, it's voice acting sort of in front of a screen for the AI stuff. That means I'm sitting a lot. So I have to make sure I get these little breaks to move around if I can. Otherwise, y'all know it can be very bad for your health to sit a lot. Now, those who are fortunate enough to be able to sit for our work, we know it can be really hard to be on your feet and all kinds of other things that are demanding on your body. But we also still have to look out for sitting is not good for us if we do it a lot. And a lot of people do. So lots of good updates around acting. Auditions, of course, still going on for me. And directing has been a good challenge, one where I feel like I see the other side of the project because I'm being directed and I'm directing others, and I get to just work with more lovely people. Let's see. Music, I'm getting back into some more remixing of some of my pieces. Might as well is one of the pieces I've been working on, remixing that, and I really enjoy that piece. Y'all know I premiered that a couple years back, and I've been remixing, and rediscovering ways to layer in goodness with the licensing, the way I'm doing it. I'm still going through Taxi, the company that I've been having a long-term kind of connection with. I haven't had a lot of great placements, but some placements through them. And it's been educational for me in terms of community of other people who are like-minded trying to build that side of my business. But it's been a little bit weird because I've been not really more of the in the box kind of skill set. I'm a top liner, but I don't have the ability to like play guitar or piano to accompany myself. Anyway, it's been a growth process. I'm growing, I'm learning, but I am also enjoying that each time I'm looking to target some of these opportunities, I'm listening to current music and it's keeping me sort of entertained and connected to what's going on out there. So that's feeling really good. But it's also taken a little bit of time for me to think, besides licensing, which can be sort of fitting yourself in the box and fixing your mind on a box that someone else determines. I still have growing that I want to do as a songwriter that's really coming from here. And that can also help me have fresh pieces to offer as a keynote speaker who gives keynote concerts. So that's something that, being really busy with my client servicing, I haven't been reaching out as much lately, but I'm going to be doing some more reaching out around keynote concert prospective clients. I'm probably going to do some more of that tomorrow. And I've been still listening to the community of people around keynote concert development and hearing their journeys and getting inspired. But I'm telling y'all, when you're booked and busy, sometimes you're like, okay, I want to nurture this to come online later in my business, but right now I have business right now that I can do and I'm enjoying it. So I got to prioritize. So I'm blessed that I have that challenge, but that's meant that the keynote hasn't gotten as much prospecting in the last couple of weeks since I've been having these projects around directing and acting. That's also meant that as far as research goes, I haven't been using my STEM background so much on AI because I've had higher paid projects that are using my acting and now my directing skill set. So that's been a blessing. I'm still sort of keeping one eye out on those projects because you never know when one project will fold, and then those will start to be the ones that are higher paid and interesting for me. So that's been good to see what's out there and still be connected to these staffing organizations and these places where the big labs go to get talent. But I've also been having a chance to think about my own research project, which I mentioned a while back, and that's been sort of coming up for me and bubbling up for me again. So, like with the music, there are times when I'm focusing on the client that I have at hand or one that I might bring on board later, and it still gets me sort of percolating and thinking about, well, what do I really want to say myself with research, or what do I really want to do myself with music? And that can sometimes take a lot longer to peel back the layers and see, well, what am I growing into next? So exciting to think about. Exciting also because with streaming, like I'm doing here, and like I also do a bit on Patreon, and I have a recent show that I think I posted up in April for patrons there. Hey, patrons. So for streaming, I've been inspired by and looking at different streamers on YouTube, especially who tackle some deeper content. They're really people who have background in research around social sciences, around social change. On Patreon, I'm going to pull up my Patreon page so y'all can be reminded. Last month, I talked about a few of these streamers and sort of talked about a continuum between people who are more so about entertainment and people who are more so about education and education specifically to help make change. And I love how people don't categorize neatly in one or the other of those extremes. People often can't help but care about making the world better if they have a platform. And if you're going to have a big platform with a lot of people, you're often entertaining. Even if you're trying to really do something deeper, you don't have an opportunity to have a platform if you can't keep the people entertained and engaged in some kind of way. So on Patreon, I was talking about some of the streamers I've been finding interesting there. And that's what got me thinking a little bit more about my own research recently, was because of that. So I love this energy around the different parts of my business, but I also find that I only have so much time that I can really dedicate when I have a lot of clients that need my skills. So it's been nice to sort of take in some other folks' deep dives into their own areas of inquiry. It is inspiring. That's part of what you need to do if you want to keep your skills sharp, is see who else is thinking deeply out there. So that's been fun and good. Let's see, I talked about music, acting, a little bit about streaming and things on Patreon, about writing, screenwriting. Right. So right now I'm doing some more with music, but I still do have that short film that one of my colleagues that I met through Duke Standardized Patient Program and I performed in together, and I was able to direct him in that, and my husband was able to film that. I still have to edit that. after I've done the latest batch of licensing things that I'm doing, I'll get back to that. But with screenwriting, I've also been listening to webinars and reading more. I think sometimes just the teaser part for certain pilot scripts and reading early parts of screenplays for movies, getting myself geared up to probably outline another piece next. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing before I end up writing another piece, and also just doing more edits as I watch these webinars and they give you tips and tricks. You say, ooh, I think I can probably implement that in my screenplays that I already have. I can just sit down for a couple hours and sort of make some fixes there. That's been really positive. ISA, International Screenwriters Association, networkisa.org, I think is their site. I've been a member now, and I'm having their year-round membership because there was a deal for that recently. So that's what I'm doing, and that's where I'm getting some of these webinars, and I'm finding some good information. I'm also finding that I'm pacing myself a little bit about my portfolio. So I have a nice body of things that have let me start explore my voice. And now I want to make sure I'm really clear about how can I be competitive out there? How can I, now that I have more of a sense of my voice, how can I present that to best effect and sort of see, okay, just being new, what is the really more likely next steps? Probably not a direct sale. It's probably more get some people's attention who see, okay, I see what she brings to the table, and then get hired for jobs around screenwriting. So that's a journey that I'm excited to be on. I just want to make sure I am taking in things that are inspiring, watching movies, watching different things, and then get that little noodle going and say, what do I like? What do I not like? What do I think I could do better? Oh, you hope you can at least do as well as what's out there, if not maybe a little better in a certain way, or at least different in a way that serves people who aren't being served yet. So I think I've covered most areas of my business, but I did want to share a few more things. I sort of tangentially mentioned this, but I want to make sure I go into a few more tricks and tips that I've been learning, especially because a lot of folks are very focused on AI and what's the implication for AI and all of our different job functions and the things that we can do for fun. What's going on for me with AI right now is I'm trying to look around and see not just where I can help develop it as somebody who's tapped as an expert, but I'm also trying to look around and see, well, how can I work with AI and put it into my own workflow and have it enhance things in a way that's still going to showcase me as an expert and not undermine me. I've noticed that a lot of us are concerned about how AI can be a threat to what we're already doing and the things that we've already built in our businesses and in our careers. So I did want to mention that online, I've been seeing a lot of webinars and conversation, including some by a place that I'm currently getting a lot of business from, who's really reputable in the voiceover community. And they're sharing with people, look, AI is not necessarily going to be not undercutting some types of voiceover business, but it can also open up other avenues, as I've seen myself, for voice actors who know what we feel comfortable doing with AI and what we don't feel comfortable, and knowing what's out there. So I'll just put out there that currently I'm feeling comfortable with these voiceover data set kind of jobs. They're not cloning jobs. But for those who are out there who've been comfortable with cloning, I know what they've been doing is setting the price point that makes sense for them. So if their clone could then compete with their own live auditions and voiceover potential gigs, then they're going to say, okay, if I would lose business, I got to make sure that that cloning gig by itself pays me enough to replace the kind of business that I could lose due to my clone being out there and, creating value and doing the things that the client would want. Makes sense to me. I still feel very nervous about that. I haven't seen a lot of folks report over and over again that they feel really great about those decisions, because sometimes it's just sort of new to them to get the right price point. And then I want to see a little bit more data coming down the pike about, okay, now that they got the price point they wanted, did it all play out sort of in the way that they felt comfortable? Because I feel really uncomfortable. Voiceover for me has been something where I have a niche kind of voice, and I'm sort of up and down over the years and what I can make. So to project what I can make and then say, yeah, I know this clone is probably going to displace this much business, that's hard for me to guess, hard for me to estimate because of sort of the volatility of it for me. Just some thoughts, and some thoughts that a lot of people have been sharing, honestly, and I'm not the only one. When there was a webinar recently where people were talking about that around voice acting. Also, with screenwriting, people emphasize over and over again what kinds of protections people need to have for screenwriting, what kinds of things we can lean on AI for, and what we cannot lean on AI for to develop IP that we will get paid for. So that's something that's very common, I think, across a lot of industries, is understanding, say with music licensing, for instance. I see a lot of posts in places where I'm looking for opportunities, and they caution, you should not be using AI to generate a top line. You should not be using AI to generate a vocal performance, to generate a whole instrumental track. They're saying this over and over again because there's money floating around. That's why I'm interested in adding more of that to my business, and people need to be then paying for intellectual property that somebody who's getting paid actually owns. And there's issues there with AI and intellectual property, as y'all probably know, but maybe you know it in your own neck of the woods that's affected by AI. So just some things that I've noticed as I'm trying to empower myself and look at how I'm not just benefiting my own pocketbook from helping to train models, but I'm also looking at how can I use these tools in a responsible way for my business. And I'm also seeing what I honestly feel inspired by in terms of leaning on these tools or not. Some people that I was watching online that I was getting inspiration from, who were these video essay creators on YouTube, who go into things that you might see a researcher go into when you're going to their seminar on a college campus. I've been seeing those folks really distinguish, hey, there's a lot of content out now that seems AI created on YouTube and a lot of other places. And it's not that great, doesn't go in that much depth, and it's not that thoughtful sometimes. And so they're really trying to say, okay, there could be a deluge of content from people creating a lot of things on AI, using AI to create a lot of things out there, but that doesn't mean all those things really compete with the audience, that people who really go in and have a point of view and they really thoughtfully support it. It's not really going to affect their audience, most likely. And they also want to let people know they might use AI tangentially, but when they do their deep dives, they're making sure they do it in a way that is very defensible and well thought through, so that they can enrich all of our minds in a thoughtful way and not just sort of regurgitate a lot of things that maybe tools are spitting out that don't go as deeply. And I think, though, for folks who are using AI tools, you can steer them to go more deeply and to help you, but you got to know also some subject matter expertise or some professional expertise or some lived expertise to help you make sure you're not going awry when you're talking with AI. So I just wanted to get into that. And if folks have more questions for me about any of my experience with the whole AI training, AI consulting, like helping on the back end of things, feel free to reach out. I'm glad to share. And if you also want to know some of my experiences sort of offline, not in a public setting, I can share a little bit more of what it's been like to be staffed on certain projects. I just can't name actual clients or anything, but I can give you a sense of what the workflows have been like and what's fit in my sort of stamina well, and things that have been like, oh, okay, that doesn't really fit me that well because that's going at lightning speed, and I think we might want to slow down, make sure the quality is good. Okay. I got stories, y'all, if y'all want to hear them. And if you're interested, just reach out. So we're cruising through our little live with Cheryl, y'all. Whew, I think I gave you a lot of updates as I created. And I also mentioned some of my online inspiration. Like I said, on Patreon, I got into a little bit more detail about some of those video essayists that I was really enjoying more. So y'all can check that out at patreon.com/Cheryl Mebane. If you are in one of my top 2 tiers of supporters, thanks, y'all. Y'all can check out those recent videos that I put up there. I do one a month over there, but also next week I'll be having a chat for patrons of all levels over there. So check that out if you want to, and thanks for y'all's support. I want to mosey on to the other component that we often have on Live with Cheryl, and that is about health. So I got a lot going on, but I'm trying to make sure I'm sort of looking around and seeing how I can slow it down here and there and make sure I am replenishing myself. So I was looking around because right now is a time where people are graduating from some major programs, and it's probably early in that kind of season of graduation time, but it's starting to kick off in the next couple weeks and months. So this transition time, and I was thinking about that for myself because there have been these many transitions with projects that I've been grateful for, but it still does feel like, you're starting into something and okay, this feels challenging and good, but you're on this sort of roller coaster of new stuff and new people. So I was looking around to see how can I help myself through these kinds of transitions that I want, that I'm intentional about welcoming, but they still feel like a little something. So I was finding different things that can help me out. And I do like to share different perspectives that I think can help y'all as well. So today's little health trivia sort of follows my dive and look around, and it follows it to a resource for, and you might not expect this, but because I was first thinking about graduation season, but a resource for retired people, because people who are retired are also making a transition, and sometimes they're making a transition away from paid work into volunteering, and sometimes making transitions from one type of paid work to another, and either sometimes that's by choice, which for me, I've left one career to do this business that was by choice, and I'm very happy about it, but there's still all these little things that come up that you're like, okay, this is challenging, and okay, there's a lot going on, but I wanted it. That's one of the things that makes you feel so gratified is if you could make a choice that you wanted. People were also mentioning AARP was the resource I ended up finding, that sometimes people are making transitions around the retirement years that are not ones that we're choosing. Sometimes we're dealing with things because of health issues in our family, or we're dealing with stuff because our different folks are having kids and we're ending up being the grandparents. I'm old enough I could be a grandparent, even though I'm a parent of a young child, but sometimes people my age are going through that as well. So I was looking for resources I thought could be helpful, and I did find some. And it led me to looking around and helping myself out. So, anyway, today's health trivia is as follows. This one might not be super challenging for y'all, but it was dovetailing on this sense of people who might be career changers around that retirement age. So instead of fully retiring, they're doing a career encore. So when they're in that category, would you think that they are often buoyed by a what kind of sense of energy and purpose? So, often buoyed by a blank sense of energy and purpose, most career encorers are highly motivated. So, if they're often buoyed by this sense of energy and purpose, that would have them be highly motivated. Would that be a decreased sense of energy and purpose or a renewed sense of energy and purpose? Okay, you guys, I'm gonna play a little bit of music while you think about it and hope you enjoy. Let's see, I think I'll play a little bit of the theme song we were playing earlier. There we go. And on Live with Cheryl, I gotta say, our health trivia is sometimes not the super most difficult, but we're just trying to share little things and encouragement here. We're not trying to make us scratch our heads too much. Okay, so I've got a chat response that I need to read here. Oh, public chat. And there's the answer. Yes, that is correct. B is the answer, Tim. Thank you. Thanks for that. So as usual, we were going to celebrate you. Yay! Let me get the clapping going here, y'all. I think I can get some clapping going or some cheering. Hooray! There we go. Some cheering. That's what we need. You got the answer correct. You were right. You were right. And because you got that right, you will be able to choose if you want to hear the theme song on the way out or if you want to hear a different piece of music. But here's the resource again. It was AARP. I think the American Association for Retired Persons. I think that's what that stands for. And again, once I get around to finally putting those clicks and links and little bells and whistles in on social media, I'll give y'all that a clickable link once I get back to doing that. I'm a little bit behind on social media now, but there's the resource there. You can see it. Often buoyed by a renewed sense of energy and purpose, most career encores are highly motivated. Check out some of what they're talking about because they're not just talking about some of the folks who are choosing these transitions, they're also talking about the reality that some transitions are sort of foisted upon us, but we're not alone in all this. And it's just sometimes really great to feel that way. I hope y'all feel that way when y'all come here and you're looking for inspiration. I'm looking for it too. You come here, you're looking for health tips. I'm needing them too. You're not alone. Okay, so let's see, Tim, did you want to hear? Oh, something different. Okay, so I'll play a little bit of different music on the way out. Thank y'all for being here and participating out there and all y'all's encouragement and support. If you are a patron, I will talk with y'all next Thursday during our chat. Otherwise, I hope to see y'all all next June 4th. So that's the next first Thursday when we usually have Live with Cheryl at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And y'all just take care out there. If you're a career encore or if you're a career starter, transitions are happening all the time. The world can be crazy. Just know we're not alone. And there's people out there constantly looking for connection and inspiration and sharing tips and tricks and common ground. So we're here. Say hello, enjoy us. And I'll try to do the same thing and not just be working away in my studio all the time. Got a garden going on that gets me to step outside into the sunshine sometimes and say hello to my neighbors. And that can be good, connecting and seeing common ground everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead on our way out and play something different, not just what we were playing before. Let me see. Maybe a little funk music. I was going to see if I had anything else. Okay, now I'm going to play a little bit of a funky Take It All so we can all get out there and do our thing, y'all. Thanks for listening, everybody. Look forward to seeing you in June. Enjoy yourselves. Bye. You ever have one of those moments, right there, one of those moments when you realize something? Hey now, you really need to shake things up. Bye-bye tightrope walking.